Kimberly, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thanks so much, Petey.
Oh, we can finally talk about this.
Ah.
I mean, it's crazy. I feel like anytime you're part of something that is like a continuation or a prequel or a sequel to something big that existed before, I feel like you're in a unique casting situation because there's familiar territory and unfamiliar territory at the same time. Did it feel like that with this show? Like where you knew what was going on, but you didn't know what was going on at the same time? Like it's interesting.
Yes, especially on the front end when you're like, you have to sign NDAs. I auditioned for a role. I didn't even know what it was. I was offered the role and I said, okay, but what is this show?
Yeah.
And so I was offered the role and then found out that it was a prequel for it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
It's so crazy. And, by the time this interview is out, your episodes will start kind of rolling in. And it's interesting, right? Because, what is that like playing a character like you're not like that has a big flashback that goes back to the past? Because that's a unique thing because you're not part of the flashback, but like that flashback is a big part of your whole arc. So what is that like from a script to screen journey, reading all that stuff with the young version of your character and then seeing it come to life on screen?
Well, the upside is it's so well written that it really meshed beautifully with my own backstory that I was already imagining. And then I was able to meet the actor who played young Rose. And so we got to hang out a bit and it was such brilliant casting by the team. As you can tell, I think the casting in general in this show is just unfreaking believable. Everybody's a superstar. The quote unquote extras, I do not call them extras. I do not call them background. There are so many moments of somebody that has no line and they're like a fully realized character. But to that point, the young actor who plays young Rose and I were able to hang out and connect. And we both have that a little sassy, a little sassiness to us. And so I knew that that's what I can kind of lock into, and vice versa. I think she felt the same way. So then it was just a matter of knowing this is where I've come from. This is our history. And for me, going in, I knew that Francis was probably my one and only love, and that I married my duty.
Absolutely.
I'm not married. I don't have kids. I have a nephew that you come to find out that is very much like a son to me. But what was so interesting was that James, ironically, had the same story and came to set with the same story. So I thought it was very fascinating that Francis went on to marry the military and Rose went on to marry her duty. So their paths were parallel, but they end up very diametrical.
That's a really good segue to my next question, actually, because it's almost like you knew what I was going to ask. Like, you're a pro. You know what I mean? But no, like, a show like this, obviously, everything comes together at some point and on everything crosses paths, right? But this is such a cinematic show that has so many different kind of storylines and so many different kind of, aesthetics, right? And like visuals and everything. Like, does it sometimes feel like certain scenes you're doing versus others that does it feel like you're on two different projects, right? Because it's so different sometimes, right? Like, do you know what I mean by that a little bit? Because there is like that whole backstory, like you said, but then there's like this scary, it aspect of it.
Right. I think it's about being so locked into your character that you could it's like you, Petey, you could be like right here doing the podcast 1 second and then I don't know, somewhere really different, 20 minutes from now, but it's you carrying that through. It's like you carry your same fears, your same desires, your same wants and all those kind of things. So being very clear about who Rose is, and she's such a grounded and focused individual. That it was really easy to transverse all of those things or traverse all of those realities
Yeah.
and stay very on point and very on task with everything that was going on and never really have to stretch too far in terms of like how wild things are getting. And I think there's also a reality as an Indigenous person, or at least me, I'll just speak for myself. We understand there's a supernatural reality to the world. We understand there's a visible world and an invisible world, and kind of where that line starts to, kind of get a little blurred.
Yeah.
And even how to deal with that others, the other side of the world. So that wasn't, again, it wasn't a really big stretch for me. It was a really fun, if that could be the right word,
Yeah.
and meaningful place to play. as an actor, as a storyteller.
For sure, because it's such a complex, and because the scale's so big, like it is, and like sometimes you don't think about it because like from an acting perspective, you go in, you do your thing, you rap, and then it's out of your hands, right? But then like I'm sure there's moments just seeing everything where it's like, wow, this is big, the scale's big. But I did kind of want to ask, I guess like my filmmaker like in me kind of asks you this question because like, there's so many different ways we consume media, right, Kimberly? Like we like there's, movies we go see at the theaters, and then there's streaming, and then there's the week-to-week drops and the binges and everything. Are you ever conscious of how people are going to be watching the media you're making, like producing while you're making it at all? Like, do you think about how people are going to watch It Welcome to Derry while you're making it, or is that something that happens afterwards?
I think, for me, again, it's just my approach to it. I really believe story is medicine, and it can be good medicine, it can be bad medicine. And it can be like, I feel like when it's the best medicine for people, it's when it's trying to elevate our humanity. It's going into those places of trauma or fear and not being afraid to go there as Kimberly, right?
Yeah.
As a human being myself, and facing my own fears in that moment, as the character. And so I'm bringing real, I can't remember how many times I looked up and people said, "Oh, that was a great scene." I'm like, I wasn't acting. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to take credit for this. I was not acting. I was just really able to be present within that scene. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more about that, to make sure that the medicine, like the good medicine's there, that I'm present, that my ego's not involved. I'm not trying to, I don't act well or whatever it is. It's just like, just be present and just tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think focusing on that, then however people watch it or, consume it is really up to them in a personal way, as long as it comes from my heart of really love and, yeah, kind of sacrifice to some. I mean, Rose, not like the kids. I mean, I'm sorry. Look at the work that the kids are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Amanda and Clara and um Blake, and they're all just doing, and Jack and Matilda, they're all just doing such heavy, heavy, heavy work.
The
And
movie
Eric,
theater scene, episode one, the end. I mean,
I cannot unsee that, and that
well,
will
what
haunt
was it like for you where you were able to finally like speak about that? Because like for a lot of us, like couldn't say anything. Like what?
anything. You're just like, okay, there's going to be something that happens in the first episode that I
Mm,
will, that's just those really vague things, and
I
then you
know,
can.
which is like
Did that hit you as hard as it hit me?
absolutely. I did not have that on my bingo card. And I was very interested in, especially like, Teddy Uris and the family, and then the backstory. I was like all excited. And then, yeah, no, it was, oh, crazy. So well done. I love, okay, so last question, super quick too, because you were at, New York Comic Con as well, which was really exciting. I do kind of want to know, like, is that when it really starts to sink in when like that you're part of something really big, when you get to like events like New York Comic Con and see everything and see the fan interactions and everything? Is that when it really kind of sinks in, like those big events, so to speak?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And we were all so fired up because I mean, I feel like I was going on 3 years because of the writer's strike and because of just different things that were going on. It was just a really drawn out process. And we were pouring so much of ourselves into it and fighting so hard for it, every single scene, every single take. And so to finally have all this hard work, and then especially at Comic-Con because you're connecting with your people.
Yeah.
And so there was just that joy of, you're going to get to see a little bit longer clip of this and get the response in the room, with the trailer on the big screen, the big longer teaser on the big screen. So it's a real joy. And then even more so now to kind of see the Reddit and see um, just the comments from the fans around the world. And that they're getting exactly what we were putting out there for them, which is like our whole hearts and our whole selves into this story.
Can't wait for people to meet Rose. Episodes of It Welcome to Derry are, coming out week to week on HBO Max. Kimberly, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time. I really
Aw, thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Pete.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.